Hello and welcome to Oslo for the 61st edition of the Bislett Games and the sixth stop on the Wanda Diamond League Tour 2026. We're here at the iconic Bislett Stadium, one of the oldest athletics tracks in the world, which has produced no fewer than 60 world records over the years. Well, conditions here this evening, a beautiful Scandinavian evening, sunshine, the odd shower in the last couple of days, but fingers crossed it's remaining dry for what should be a terrific evening of athletics. A top crowd, a very knowledgeable crowd, as always, here at Bislett. And we've got no fewer than 19 Olympic and world champions in action this evening. Some mouth-watering matchups all over the programme, and lots of interest, of course, for Norwegian fans as well. We have in the women's 400-metre flat the in-form Henriette Jaeger, fresh from her maiden Diamond League victory in Rome. She takes on Lourdes Gloria Manuel, the world indoor champion. Henriette Jaeger in terrific form. And then later on this evening in the men's 400 metres hurdles, Karsten Warholm looking for revenge after recent defeats to Alisson dos Santos. Warholm, of course, here on his home track in front of his home fans. That's our final race of this evening. Plenty to look forward to also in the field, with Curtis Marshall in the pole vault and Jessica Schilder in the shot put, both going for the Scandinavian double after their respective wins in Stockholm last weekend. So the stage is set, the weather is very good indeed. Let's get the show on the road. I'm Chris Dennis, alongside me is Hannah England.
Thanks, Chris. You're right, it is suddenly turning into a lovely warm evening here in Oslo. We start in lane 8 in this women's 400 metres with Josefina Tomina Ax. She's one of 3 women in here that helped Norway win the World Relays gold medal in Gaborone a few weeks ago. Natalia Bukowiecka, the Olympic bronze medalist and defending European champion, goes in 7th. The new world indoor champion, the former world junior champion, Lourdes Gloria Manuel, goes in lane 6 for Czechia. Brilliant, went under 50 seconds for the first time, finishing 2nd to Henriette Jaeger in Rome last week. Jaeger was caught in the final few metres last year here at the Bislett Games, and I think the Norwegian will want to give this crowd something to cheer about in the first event of the evening. Keisha Price of Jamaica goes in 4. She's the Diamond League and Jamaican record holder, and she's gone sub 50 seconds twice this year already. Amber Anning, British national record holder, Olympic World Championship finalist, so often peaks at those major championships, gets 3. And Lieke Klaver of the Netherlands, the bronze medalist from the World Indoor Champs, is in lane 2, which could be tricky for an athlete that loves to utilise her fast start. The third and final Norwegian, Astrid Achgård, goes in lane 1. A lot of quality in this race, and Keisha Price, of course, the Jamaica, in the middle, but surrounded by some of the best talent we have in Europe right now. I think this women's 400 metres could be a bit of a preview for the European Championships coming up in a few weeks.
Set.
And they're away here in the women's 400 metres. Home favourite Henriette Jaeger in lane 5 has gone off fast. She's already made up ground on Manuel to her outside and leaving Price on the inside. They fly down the back straight here at the Bislett Games. Looks like the outer lanes are moving supremely well. Amber Anning doing everything she can from lane 3 to stay involved with this field. Henriette Jaeger hits the wall of sound that will welcome her into the home straight here. The Norwegian is going to have the lead as she comes into the final 100 metres. It was similar last year. Jaeger got pipped on the line. But this year, 2026, Henriette Jaeger is in brilliant form and she's going to take a dominant win here. What a way to start the event here in Oslo. 49.52, that is sensational from Henriette Jaeger. Betters her season's best, a shade outside her lifetime best. That was a woman on a mission, and a successful mission.
Well, what a way to start the evening, as you say, Hannah. and the Norwegian fans are around us, and there is Steinar Ulner, the meeting director, the first to congratulate Henriette Jaeger. She is getting better and better, growing in stature week by week. 49.52 to back up that brilliant win in Rome. That was her maiden Diamond League victory. Now she's had it a second and really starting to become an athlete of some reputation. This is a quality field, as you say. Amber Anning it was, actually, if we go back to the beginning of the race, who was probably edging it in the first 100 metres, but then gradually lost touch, and Jaeger was so consistent. Here it is again from the beginning. Gets off to a pretty good start, but Amber Anning on her inside was in a better position at this stage, and then Jaeger with Bukowiecka and Manuel, the world indoor champion, chasing. But Jaeger, maybe that win in Rome, I don't know, maybe the home crowd, maybe a mixture of the two.
Great to see that emotion from Jaeger as well. Perhaps that disappointment of last year, and a bit of a hiccup at the World Indoor Championships as well, where she stumbled and ended up out of the medals. Maybe that's been the driving force behind the determination for the Norwegian woman in the last few months and weeks of training into this event. But whatever she's been doing, it's worked. And what a way to start. I think the crowd really got behind that. We spoke about how many there are here. It was actually sold out by Christmas, this event.
It was, and it gets better and better and better. And let's just dip into the early stages then of the women's triple jump. One of 5 field events here. Here is Arislady Velasco from Cuba, the former world junior bronze medalist. This is just a few minutes ago, just filling you in on what's been happening over the last 15 or 20 minutes or so. So that was the opening round. Velasco, who came into this competition with a personal best of 14.85. And surprise, surprise, her opening jump of the evening was 14.85. You guessed it. Unbeaten so far in 2026. And what a way to start the competition, giving away 7 centimetres to the board. Their confirmation then, 14.85, put her into an early first place. Top quality field, the top 3 in the world, all here. Velasco, Lafond and Povea, the Olympic champion, the world champion, also here.
But Perez Hernandez, at this stage of the competition, in the 4th round, the world indoor and outdoor champion, out of the final 3, not set to go all the way through to round 6. She is the joint world leader. A stutter into the board, but it's going to be an improvement for the Cuban. And perhaps with this big following wind, we're seeing kind of over 2 meters a second. Perez Hernandez not quite finding her feet on the runway. She had to check her speed there, slow down to not overstep on the board. But that 4th round effort was measured at 14.60 in the end, which was enough to put her into those top 3 positions.
I should say the wind has been swirling around actually and changing direction quite markedly in the last hour or so. It was a definite headwind for the sprinters we're going to be seeing later on. Here is Sally Sarr from Senegal, the African champion. Took bronze in Torun in the World Indoors this winter. This was her 5th round effort. And it was enough to get her a place in the final 3. Opened up with 14.54, improved slightly to 14.55, and then in round 5 added another 20 centimetres, 14.75. That put her up from 3rd into 2nd place, and a lifetime best to boot. So that was a little bit earlier. And so our final 3, Velasco, Sarr and Perez Hernandez. Had the national anthem just before we came on air. Everybody stood up and belted it out. It was quite a moment, beautifully sung, I have to say.
See the strawberry skipping over and saying, come on guys, get ready for your final 3. I think it's quite telling the layers that some of the athletes have got on in this women's triple. But there they are, there are the final 3. Velasco holding on from that brilliant opening jump of 14.85, and Sally Saar, Leonalis Perez Hernandez joining her. Perez Hernandez, for me, I think she could still have something up her sleeve.
You're absolutely right. Although over the last couple of seasons, how often have we seen the final three remain unchanged in round 6 from round 5? But you're right. If anybody is capable of disrupting that, it is Perez Hernandez. So, first up, Velasco then jumping in merit order, as always. Here is her 6th and final jump, leading with 14.85. Nicely through the phases. Yes, that's good. That is really tidy. As long as it's good on the board, it's not. She gets the red flag. So that will not count. So 14.85 was, and still is, the mark to beat.
I mean, Cuba didn't need another good triple jumper, did they? But they've got one in Velasco, and minor foul. I think she had to do that. She had to take a slight risk, you know, to improve on 14.85. She was going to need to push herself all the way to her limit. So we'll forgive a 4-centimetre foul. She looks delighted as it is. I wonder if she will hold on to the pole position. Sally Saar up next. She's already bettered her lifetime best from indoors. 14.70. She's hit one of the few wind legal attempts here in this women's triple, about 14.75, so does get to take that as a lifetime best. But Saar trying to find another 10 centimetres. Look good on the board there from Saar, or it's just maybe the last phase there. Clocking the step looked good, and the jump just fell short somewhat. Have a look back at the replay. Well behind the board, maybe giving away a few centimetres there as well, Sally Saar, but hey, she's in 2nd place as it stands.
Yeah, retained her African title in Accra, based in France. So many of the Senegalese athletes are. So just one attempt to come, and Perez Hernandez it is, and can she do what Hannah was suggesting she's capable of doing, and turning 3rd into 1st, or at least 2nd, reigning world champion, double world indoor champion, knocking on the door of 15 metres. Slightly surprised that an athlete of her calibre hasn't yet broken 15 metres in her career. Could this be the day? In bright sunshine here in Oslo. Final jump of the competition. No, not to be. So Leonalis Perez Hernandez has to settle for 3rd on this occasion, and once again the final 3 doesn't deliver any change at all. It's as you were. Victory for Lady Velasco with that 14.85, equaling her personal best. There are almost no spare seats. I've been craning my neck, Hannah, to see if there are any spare seats at all, and I can't see any at all. It's fabulously well attended. It's been a sellout, as you say, since Christmas, and that tells you all you need to know about how popular track and field is, not just in Norway, but the attraction of the Bislett Stadium and the Bislett Games specifically.
It's Perez Hernandez. That was one of her earlier attempts, I think. Perez Hernandez, or was that one a final attempt? And I think you're right with the capacity here at the stadium being pushed all the way to the limit. I'm loving seeing some of the crowd getting that coach-athlete interaction right in their ear. You can tell they're sort of enjoying the fact they can listen in on those private conversations, those bits where they're trying to tinker, but also quite conscious of ending up on the big screen the whole time, kind of having a different experience, I think.
Yes, big screen away to our right. We're right on the finish line here, as you'd expect, with a bird's eye view, and we've got some cracking track action coming up over the next couple of hours. Coming shortly, the men's 800 metres, one of several highlights of the evening.
Well, if it wasn't for Henrietta Jaeger, I think that might be the biggest smile we've seen so far today for Velasco. She's absolutely delighted to have taken the win here. And I'm quite looking forward to the men's triple jump as well. I think it's a bit of a treat to have a men's and a women's at the same event. So often they kind of alternate between the long and the triple. And a really high quality men's triple jump will be coming up later on. They're down there warming up. And they'll be underway in around about half an hour.
So confirmation of that women's triple jump result, 14.85 Velasco, followed by Sarr from Senegal, and then the world champion Pere Fernandez down in third place. A lifetime best for Sarr. Velasco equaling her lifetime best, and Cuba 1 and 3, and Cuba utterly dominant in women's triple jumping at the moment.
Look at the warm-up track and a look at Gout Gao in his Diamond League proper debut. He competed in an exhibition event in Monaco, but he's in the main race, facing the likes of Letsile Teboko. It's going to be a real test for the teenager. And he seems ready for it. We had a women's shot put take place before we came on air this evening. Let's have a look back at how the athletes got to the final three. World champion indoors and out, Chase Jackson. And it's a lovely opening throw here. Right out towards the 20-metre mark, near up towards the 21-metre mark for Chase Jackson. Brilliant national record last year of 20.95, and everyone was thinking Jackson would be the first to go over 21 metres in a few years. And she hasn't managed it yet. A great opening round throw of 20.74, breaking Valerie Adams' meeting record. Poor Valerie Adams, she's losing all her meeting records this season, whether it's Schilder or Jackson. There's something about having a good opening throw that just puts the pressure on the rest of the athletes. But Jeske Schilder, 2 Diamond League wins, Shanghai and Stockholm. But the Dutch woman is struggling to find the 20-metre mark in these opening 3 rounds. She did find it eventually here in the 4th round, throwing 20.11. Nearly a metre down on that brilliant 21.09 she threw in Shanghai. Cements her 2nd place as we move towards the final 3. This field here assembled for the women's shot put included the reigning Olympic champion, indoor, outdoor world champion, European champion, and this woman, Sarah Mitten, who's the reigning Commonwealth Games champion. Mitten on a season's best of 20.42. Similar to Schilder, was just struggling to find consistency around the 20-metre mark. And her best came in the 5th round, 19.89. So those 3 will go through to the final 3 to round 6. It's the same 3 we had in Shanghai and in Stockholm.
So straight away to the second race on the track here in Oslo, and what a special race it is. We have the Olympic champion. It's the men's 800 metres against, well, the man of the moment. There is Patrick Saratsky, who'll be pacemaking as always, but the man of the moment, Cooper Lutkenhaus, the world indoor champion, age just 17. He only left high school 2 weeks ago. He's unbeaten in 5 races. Each race has got harder and harder, and this is arguably the greatest test of all, because there is the Olympic champion. It's been quite the week for him. He missed on Stockholm at the weekend because he went home to Kenya to be with his wife, who's just given birth to their baby, and then he dashed back to Oslo. There is Marco Arop, Olympic silver medalist behind Wanyoni, who was picked by Lutkenhaus, if you were with us at the weekend in Stockholm, having led for most of the race. Elliot Creston is also there alongside Gabriel Tual, who got a great win in Rome last week. And talking of great wins, Mark English as well, brilliant in Shanghai, and then an excellent 2nd in Rome as well. There's quality throughout this race. Peter Boll is in there from Australia, and then Mohamed Atawi and Tobias Grunstad, the Norwegian champion. But what a moment this is for Cooper Lutkenhaus. So strong, so mature, biggest purchase since winning the world indoor title has been a treadmill. Men's 800 metres. Well, away they go safely in the Oslo sunshine, and Saratsky, the pacemaker, has been asked to go through halfway in 50 seconds dead, and this is absolutely intriguing because we know that Wanyonyi likes to front run, and he's already making his presence felt. We also know that Arop, the tall figure there, second left of pitcher, also likes to front run. Luckenhaus is so mature, though, and reeled in Arop in Stockholm at the weekend, and Wanyonyi's kind of got himself into position very early on here, saying, look, I'm the Olympic champion, I'll take over from here. So as it stands, Wanyonyi from Luckenhaus, from Arop, these three, the big names, with Creston and Tual in pursuit into the home straight as they come up towards the bell. This feels pretty quick. Saratsky knows what he's doing. Wanyonyi perfectly positioned with Luckenhaus just behind.
Well, if anyone can run the sting out of Luckenhaus, surely it's Emmanuel Wanyonyi. The Kenyan is comfortable leading. He's strong in the second half of the race. I think Arop has learned from Sunday, and he's trying to stick behind the American and his great Kenyan rival.
Wanyonyi then leaning out down the back straight. Luckenhaus hasn't been shaken off just yet. A little bit of a gap there to Arop, and Creston just behind there. There goes Luckenhaus again. No respecter of reputation. He's gone early here. 200 to go. Cooper Luckenhaus, strong and mature, has done it again. Is he going to get the job done here? Wanyonyi doesn't look to be responding. Working really, really hard, but Luckenhaus looks so fresh. He's done so much racing. Now has he gone too early? He's looking around. Wanyonyi may yet have another chance. There's a big gap to second and third. Wanyonyi coming back. One last push. Oh, it's so close on the line. Pick that one out. I can tell you, 1:42.08. Luckenhaus maybe just took his foot off the gas and thought he'd broken Wanyonyi. Wanyonyi found another gear, another breath. Whoever's got this, and it's gone to a photo, Hannah, it's going to be a new world lead, 1:42.08. Incredible. Just outside the meeting record, held by David Radisha. He's got it. Cooper Luckenhaus has got it again. It's 6 out of 6. And for the man who only left high school 2 weeks ago, it's top marks.
Oh, I don't know if Luckenhaus knew Wanyonyi was coming. I think he was just in the zone, blinkers on, trying to draw on all that training and all that experience and holding your form. And it was almost a look of panic on the American's face. That's the first time I've ever seen him look flustered in a race. He didn't know Wanyonyi was coming. But to find something at that stage, to respond, in the final 10 metres and dive like that was all raw talent, raw desire from Luckenhaus. Hats off to the American, taking the win by 100th.
That's how close it was. 100th of a second. Luckenhaus then, the fastest man in the world this year. 17 years old, and many people tipping him to maybe have a go at the world record at some point in the next couple of years. Wanyonyi, all credit to him. It's been quite the week for him emotionally, becoming a father for the first time, going back to Kenya, missing the race at the weekend. Arop, of course, who was pipped by Luckenhaus. So in the last few days, Hannah, Luckenhaus, age 17, has beaten the Olympic silver medalist and the Olympic gold medalist in the last 2 races.
And what I can't believe about the American, he said he's going to end his season after the US National Championships because he's got to go back to high school on, I think it's mid-August or something like that. He said, well, I can't do the full season. I'm surely he goes the full season. Surely someone gives him some time off. So we just saw these 3 women qualify for the final round. Chase Jackson leading the way from Skilde and Mitten. So here comes the US record holder. Just running out of steam here, Jackson. She was so quick with that round 1 throw, the 20 metres 74. These women compete so often. They fly all over the world, all over Europe in the last fortnight or so. And Jackson just falling down to a 19 metres. Okay, she fell out kind of semi-deliberately. She didn't give it everything to stay in the circle there. I think she knew it wasn't going to improve on her 2074. It's a pretty competitive mark to dangle out there, or it was before Skilde got settled into 2026. Dutch woman She's just fourth at the World Indoor Championships after winning in Tokyo, and she looked really disappointed with that, really gutted that she wasn't able to convert the outdoor form to indoors. But she's been brilliant once we got into this season. 2011, her best throw, and for me in that last throw, just falling out of it ever so slightly, Skilde. She's sharing a few choice words with Jackson. There's a lot of trash talking that goes on between these women. Something along the lines of, you got the last two, I'm having this one. Skilde will be so buoyed by her win in Shanghai in that 21.09 and her win in Stockholm in 2089. Today she's had to give way to the American. The final athlete, Sarah Mitten of Canada, in third place at the moment. She improved in 1989. Ooh, a stumble in the circle all the way to the floor for Mitten, so red flag for her, no improvement. The very funny training video went out yesterday from these women. It was really wet here in Oslo yesterday, and they were playing the game of who was going to end up falling over first when they were doing their training session yesterday. I think Danielle Thomas-Dodd won that competition. I think they'll be pleased they got better conditions come the event day.
Oh, what a difference 24 hours makes. Yes, I did see that video, actually. It looked quite messy, to put it mildly.
And they were just playing around with it. I would have been worried about hurting something, but they clearly, you know, it's part of being a shot putter. You know you're going to slip if it's those conditions, so they just had a bit of fun with it instead. There's a confirmed result. Chase Jackson taking the win in a meeting record, 20 meters 74. That's the season's best for the American, ahead of Jessica Skilde of the Netherlands and Sarah Mitten of Canada.
Well, just putting a little bit of context to that extraordinary win from Cooper Luchtenhuis, 14th fastest all time, 1:42.08, and he's only 17 years old and 172 days. Next up, women's 3,000 metres.
And a bit of a fun distance, the women's 3,000 metres. See a lot of different specialists all meeting together over 7.5 laps. It's not a championship distance, of course, but just a bit of fun. Mabel in brilliant form, having a great 2026. Pushed Faith Kipyegon all the way in Shanghai and then took a brilliant win in Rome in a world-leading 14.80 over the 5,000. This woman, Ferengi Haile, two-time world indoor champion over 3,000 metres. I think kicked a little early in Rome, so she might be a bit more patient today, the Ethiopian. Mshesha Getachew Alphonse on that first line as well. And over to likes of Maureen Costa in lifetime best over 5,000 metres. Youngster Innes Fitzgerald of Great Britain. There's 4 Australians in this field. They're in the final few days of being able to prove form to the Commonwealth Games selectors. So Davis, Hall, Ryan, and this woman, Georgia Griffith, who was recently upgraded to bronze for her performance in the 2025 World Indoor Championships. And she took a brilliant win here in 2024. And 8:24 that day, Griffith. That's still the Australian national record, and it's still the meeting record here at the Bislett Games. So a couple of pacemakers on the outside are targeting that meeting record of 8:24. The women are off on 7.5 laps, and a lot of triple jumpers strolling around the home straight. I think they'll get themselves organised and get out of the way. The pacemakers are on the outside. That's why we're seeing the likes of Lyndon Hall and Rose Davis leading, but they should get swept up here by the 2 pacemakers who are running perfectly on the blue lights. Great job from them. But I think there is a couple of races going on here. There's the domestic Ethiopian battle between the likes of Ferengi Haile and Mabel, who was so good in Rome, so brilliant tactically. And then, for me, this sort of Australian undercurrent and these women trying to prove their form, trying to get on that Commonwealth Games team. And I think the Australian selection is happening in the next couple of days.
Yes, it is. And you think of that Georgia Griffith, and if you were here with us, 2 years ago, that meeting record, probably had the race of her life here on this very track. And we talk in sport, don't we, about muscle memory. And when you walk back onto the same track where you've had probably your best ever moment of your career, it makes you stand tall.
It does. I think we were through the first 400 and around about 67. We didn't get the clock stopping there. So nice and swift for these women. And it's very rarely you get a well-paced made, competitive 3,000. These women enjoy getting stuck into it, particularly so many of them as they were in Rome just last week. To have all those laps in Rome and be very tired from that, it would have been hard to ask these athletes to go again over 5,000. Lyndon Hall leading the way out of the races, just clipping the heels of Margot Appleton. Lyndon Hall is up for something quick here today. And Maureen Costa on social media, she's absolutely delighted with her new lifetime best of 14:33. The Dutch woman has been around for so long and she's still chipping away at her lifetime best. She's second out of the races, just followed closely by Hailu and Mashesha.
Decent pacing, 66.6 for the first 400 meters through 800. Second lap was just a little bit slower, but all strung out.
And just for the first time, you can see Lyndon Hall just giving way here to the pacemakers, just letting a gap open up. And I wonder if Hall's just thinking forward. When these pacemakers step aside, she doesn't want to be doing the hard work. She'd much rather someone else picked it up. She's absolutely dominating the domestic Australian competition at the moment. Margot Appleton just finishing off her pacing job, 2:48 through the first kilometre, so they are below what they've been asked for. You can see the green lights just edging away from the first pacemaker, never mind the rest of the field. So 1 kilometre down, still plenty of running here in the women's 3,000.
So let's take an early look at the men's pole vault competition. No Mondo Duplantis here. He has other personal matters to attend to, like getting married at the weekend. So another chance for somebody else to come out of his shadow, as we saw at the weekend in Stockholm with Curtis Marshall. There is Zach Bradford with the bar at 5:62 safely over there. Sondre Thomsen. Now, Norway has never had a winner of the men's pole vault here at the Bislett Games, ever. Sondre Thomsen, his brother here, might want to change things, particularly in the absence of Mondo Duplantis, and that's a nice, safe, comfortable clearance for the US-based and born Sondre Thomsen. Manuel Corrales as well, of course, second all-time behind Duplantis after that 6:17 indoors earlier this year. Should be meat and drink to him. Conditions actually way on the far side now of our left as we look out. Pretty good. The wind has just abated slightly.
They're slowing here in the women's 3,000. Opening laps of around about 66, 67 or so at 2:48 opening kilometre. Then they've slowed to outside 70 seconds. Margot Appleton, the American pacemaker, made a good decision. She looked round and she came back to the pack, and now she's trying to urge them on. But Lyndon Hall still content to sit behind Appleton. Hall has moved through the distances in her career. She hit a fun lifetime goal of going sub-2, sub-4 and sub-15 in the 8, 15 and 5K. So she's got the range and she's no stranger to leading. So I think Hall at this stage might be okay once Appleton steps aside, but the lights at 8:24, the Australian national record, the meeting record of Georgia Griffith, they're going through the finish line now, around about 40 metres ahead of Hall, and this will be the last of Appleton. I think Hall takes over with 3 laps to go.
And what's significant for me is in the middle of that pack, Hannah, you've got the likes of Getachew, Obera, Amabor, Hailu, all the Ethiopians just, okay, they're one behind the other single file, but they're just waiting and waiting and waiting, and we'll see them come into prominence in the next section of the race.
Just moving towards the 2 kilometre split, and I've got to say, Margot Appleton is doing a phenomenal job here. She's a 1500 metre specialist in my eyes. She's taken these athletes almost to 2K. They pass through 2:42, so 2:53 for the second kilometre. It has slowed slightly. And that talent you mentioned, Chris, a whole brace of brilliant Ethiopians. They will be very much playing on the mind of Linden Hall. I think the advantage that Hall and Costa have got here, there's no pushing and shoving where they are. There's a few changings of the positions behind. You can see Megan Keith of Britain just trying to get involved. I think with Getachew, and Mabel is just ahead of Getachew, but you know, it's a smoother ride for these two in the lead. There's no change in the racing order with 800 to go.
Well, Linden Hall's doing a lot of the heavy lifting here, and she'll be feeling the presence behind her. Costa and then Hailu, Amabor as well. Megan Keith up to 7th at the moment. Mashesha just behind her.
Now, it was at this point in Rome that Ferengi Hailu, with 600 metres to go, the woman in 3rd place now, made a massive move, and it didn't pay off. She faded back to 3rd, and Hailu, she's moving wide. She's looking like she's tempted. And I just wonder if that memory from Rome last week might dampen the excitement here for Hailu. She might just be a bit more patient. Hall has been squeezing the pace here at the front. They were back down to 67 seconds on the previous lap. So the Australian, she isn't just running passively at the front here, and she's actually pulling the athletes back towards the green lights. We're only around about 10 or 15 metres away from them now.
Well, Linden Hall gets ready to take the bell, and she has worked incredibly hard as Hailu just moves up into 2nd place ahead of Costa. Amabor as well, lurking with this 400 metres to go, and all the Ethiopians are now starting to gather and make their mark.
The bell has such an effect on athletes. They realise they're in the final stages of a race. They've bunched up here at the front, and Linden Hall has been swallowed up by 3 Ethiopians. The Australian's going to try and stay strong here. It's a squeeze from Hailu. It's a slight push. I don't think the 2-time world indoor 3,000 metre champion has gone flat out yet, but there, for the first time, I think Hailu is trying to get herself a win here in Oslo. She took a great win in Rabat over 1,500 metres. She's got to be confident in her speed. But here comes Amabor of Ethiopia, the winner in Rome over 5,000. Can she do it again? Over 3,000. But Ferengi Hailu, did she learn from Rome? Has she saved something here for the home straight? Ferengi Hailu with a brilliant turn of pace in the last 60, streaks away. And she's going to just get underneath. No, she's 100th outside the meeting record, but it is a new world lead for Ferengi Hailu. And that, I think, was a real response to what happened to her in Rome at the hands of Amabor just last week. Ferengi Hailu mixed it up and saved something for the home straight. 8:24.22 in the end. And Amabor, a brilliant season's best in 2nd place, 8:25.15, saying that Getachew continues a fantastic year, coming in 3rd.
Well, Ethiopian 1, 2, 3, and we've known about the talent of Ferengi Hailu for a long time, but you called it perfectly, Hannah. To learn from the experience of the previous race shows that she's a bright, intelligent racer as well, and she did leave something for the latter stages and still look pretty fresh when she crossed the line, just missing out on the meeting record. But the fastest time in the world this year, and an Ethiopian 1, 2, 3, 4 actually, with Haiwi Abera coming in 4th place.
I think that was a real bit of poise and patience from Ferengi Hailu. Gave herself a good position, gave herself the shortest distance to run in that final lap, and then measured her effort perfectly. It's so hard to do when you're in the lead. All the emotions, the fear of who's going to come up on your shoulder, to just hold your nerve. Takes some doing, and Hailu nailed that today. Maureen Costa held on for 5th, and Linden Hall for 6th. Let's look at the results. You can see the season's best further down for Costa, lifetime best for Megan Keith and Innes Fitzgerald for Britain, and Rose Davis as well. 29 lifetime best for the Australian.
The last attempt for Thibaut Collet, 5.72 in power.
So let's go back to this men's pole vault competition. We had very gusty conditions in Stockholm at the weekend. Let's say gusty here. There is a breeze. And here is Thibaut Collet with the second attempt at 5.62, the Frenchman. Nice. Much better. Incidentally, his compatriot, Renaud Lavillenie, who we'll hopefully be seeing a little later on or very shortly, will be contesting or is contesting his 100th Diamond League competition, more than anybody else. Curtis Marshall then, winner at the weekend. Yes, safely over at the second attempt at 5.62. In the press conference yesterday, he was inevitably asked about beating Mondo in his own backyard, and he said, well, look, I feel delighted. I thought I'd never, ever win a Diamond League. Certainly not in Stockholm, in Mondo's backyard, but I'm delighted for me, but I also feel sorry for him.
Baptiste Thierry not feeling sorry for himself with a third time clearance at 5.62. Sam Kendrick's last chance saloon for the American as well. Easily over 5.42. There we go. That's okay from Kendricks. I think the relief when they get these third time clearances at a low height is always funny to watch, but Kendricks moves on.
Now then, women's javelin, what a moment we had a few weeks ago in Xiamen. This 18-year-old Yan Ziyi from China throwing over 71 meters, the second furthest in history at the age of 18. This is her first Diamond League outside of China. And the Bislett Games are delighted to have her. She's made a long, long trip from China, competing here in Oslo for the very first time. And that's the first throw for her on Norwegian soil. 71.74 that mark was a couple of weeks ago. I think you were there and saw it.
It was absolutely sensational from Yan. And at the time, I did wonder, what are they going to do with this teenager? Are they going to throw her out into the rest of the world and see how she copes with that travel and that expectation? I'm absolutely delighted that she's made the way to Europe for a Diamond League.
Well, here are some gentlemen who have also made their way to Oslo, and this again is one of the highlights. We've already seen one teenager in Lutkenhaus set this stage alight. Well, we could see another one here, because this is the much anticipated Diamond League debut of Gout Gout. There he is, age 18. It's been a long time in the planning. Di Shepherd is here, his coach, who spotted him at the age of 12. James Templeton, his manager, is here. There is the Olympic champion Letsili Tebogo, and in the press conference yesterday, Gout said, when asked who did you look up to and who was your idol and hero when you were a little boy, and he said, well, actually Tebogo, because I was too young to know really who Usain Bolt was until I started reading about him. Very, very accomplished, I thought, in front of the media, Gout yesterday. Seems to have been doing as if he's been doing it for years and years. Very relaxed, great natural communicator. And this is a big deal, and some of those young fans will know all about him. 1967 he ran at the Aussie Champs. And if comparisons, which are inevitable with Usain Bolt, he's actually quicker at the same age than the great man himself. Mumenthaler then in lane 8, surprise European champion for many, will defend his title in Birmingham this summer. He was disqualified in Stockholm at the weekend. Jareem Richards, 32 years old now, world silver in Tokyo over 400, double Commonwealth Games champion. He's in 7. There is Tebogo, who's getting better and better. A little bit of a slow start in China at those early 2 meets, but 1996 in Rabat suggests that he's really finding his feet here, and for many people he will be the favourite against this young man. 1967. Bolt, again, to continue the comparison, regarded as the better starter, but look at the top-end speed of Gout. The final 50 is quite simply frightening. Senesifo Dambile, the South African champion, world finalist in Tokyo, the world number 3 this year. He goes in lane 4. Rainier Mena, the Cuban national record holder, many happy memories of being here last year. He won here in Oslo and in Stockholm to do the Scandi double. Xavi Mo Ayok from the Netherlands goes in lane 2, the Dutch 100 meters champion. And on the inside, a big cheer from the home crowd for Andreas Kulseng, Norwegian 200-meter champion. So Gout, there he is in the purple, the young Australian, born in Queensland. His mum and dad left South Sudan to go to Egypt and then on to Australia. Gout in 5. Teboho, the Olympic champion, goes in 6. Men's 200 meters. Away they go safely, and let's keep an eye on Gout with that slightly ungainly, but don't be surprised about it because he comes into his own in the latter stages of the race. Dambile's made a really good start, as is Teboho. Gout's got a lot of work to do. People standing up around us. Gout has gone. Teboho is exerting his superiority, and he jogs over the line as if to say, fine, you may be talented, you may be 18, but I actually, unless we all forget, I am the Olympic champion. Teboho, further evidence that he's getting better and better. Dambile got a great start, a really good start, ran a good bend. It's another impressive performance from Teboho. 1984, a season's best. We sensed it was coming. Dambile just outside 20 seconds. Richards it was from lane 7 who came third. And in the end, well, it's not so surprising. Gout. The enormity of the occasion, of course, all the media attention. And in the end, it wasn't even close. And Teboho shut down with, what, 20 meters to go.
We were saying before we came on air, Teboho, as you said in the commentary as well, has been getting better race by race. And you said, Chris, I just wonder if all this attention on Gout is going to be the thing that ignites Teboho in this 2026 season, just wanting to say, I am the Olympic champion, don't forget about me. And straight out of the blocks, Teboho meant all business today. I think he was ready to run through the line if he needed to, but also delighted to be able to ease off and show how dominant he is. And that 1984 from Teboho, it's a massive season's best, and there was plenty more in the tank there, wasn't there?
Yes, there was. And look, Gout, it could have gone either way. He could have had an absolutely blistering race and won the race, and of course he would have made all the headlines. He shouldn't be too despondent. It is a big step up. He is only 18, and it's his first Diamond League meeting. All that attention can now go away. He can start building on that in further races.
So we just saw Sam Kendricks get over 5.62 with his third attempt. Here he is at 5.72. Oh, somehow it stays up. Don't think you should throw your sunglasses at it when it's only just stayed up. That's an important clearance for Kendricks. In these conditions, it's a bit cold, it's a bit blustery. 72, I think that's going to be competitive. The bar bouncing around, it's going to be a great shot of this. Ooh, so it's done a 180, and it's just about stayed on upside down.
Living a charmed life is Kendricks. And if you're wondering about the moustache, well, he's had it for a while now, and he said he was mistaken several times over the weekend for Curtis Marshall. He's also got a rather large moustache. Here is Guttormsen with his first attempt at 5.72. Obviously, home crowd getting right behind him. And again, not the most elegant, but he's over. Sondre Guttormsen. His brother Simon is also in this competition. Getting a bit of a clatter with the right thigh on the way down, but look at that, top right of the picture.
I can't believe that stayed on for Guttormsen and Kendricks. Let's have extra long supports here in Oslo, maybe specially rolled out for Guttormsen. They would love to have a Norwegian winner here today. Tough ask, though. Baptiste Thierry has done a lot of jumps already tonight. This is his 8th jump. Took him 3 attempts at 5.42 and 5.62. It's his 2nd attempt at 5.72. That's nice from Thierry. He's got a season's best of higher than this, 5.90. Must be frustrating for him to perhaps waste energy at the lower heights.
Zach Bradford then, 2nd attempt at 5.72, having cleared successfully 5.42 and 62, and he too is over at the 2nd attempt at 5.72. Zach Bradford.
There is Curtis Marshall, that's a surprise winner in Stockholm. And he's doing okay here tonight, bit of a messy scorecard. And that second time clearance here at 5.72, still sees him sort of outside the top three.
Thibaut Collet then in a bit of trouble here at 5.72. French number 2 behind Lavillenie still, which is extraordinary. No. So Collet bows out here in Oslo with the bar at 5.72.
So as we leave a few more men trying to get over 5.72, we'll go over to the men's 5,000 metres. It was a brilliant race here last year. It was been pace made at world record pace, and they didn't go with it. There was this huge burn-up. Nico Young ended up winning. Unfortunately, the American has withdrawn. He isn't here to defend his Bislett Games title, but plenty of talent left here in this race, and they are pace-making it again at world record pace. They can hardly resist it here at the Bislett Games. The history of world records being set here is so strong. I always want to have a go. So, Torwart just ensuring he escorts the right men up to the waterfall start here. Brilliant to see Grant Fisher here, the world indoor record holder, the US record holder at 12.44. He's had fun on the roads and now turns his attention back to the track. And Joris Almgren's had fun on the roads this year as well, European records. And Isaac Kameli, he's kind of a safe bet for a European medal up until last year, and then he stepped up, took that silver in Tokyo. He also won, if you remember, Lausanne in the Diamond League in the pouring rain. He's developed a championship influencing kick, the Belgian. We go to the inside. It's Sime of Ethiopia. Kai Robinson's just has set an Australian 10K record. Could he challenge Craig Mottram's 5K record today? And that's a Biniam Mahari hidden in that second group as well. Almgren, of course, the European record holder from Stockholm Diamond League last year. There are a set of pace lights for him as well. Not much to choose between these men in terms of what they've done so far this season. I mentioned the great road accolades of Almgren and Fisher in the last few months. They haven't hit their specialist distance on the track yet. Almgren tried. He started in Xiamen after a brilliant 3K in Shanghai, and the Swede didn't actually finish in Xiamen. He was very open about it on social media, said, my legs were just gone, there really was no point. I wasn't going to produce a good performance, so I decided just to step aside. So we don't really know what form the European record holder is in, and he's settled kind of very mid-pack here in this men's 5,000.
Interested to see how the Americans go in this race. They had such a brilliant 2025 with the likes of Fisher and Nico Young, who, as you mentioned, isn't here to try and win for the second year running. And of course, Cole Hocker as well. 2026 a new year, and they haven't quite started in the same fashion in the middle distances yet.
I think it's a good point, Chris. I mean, we haven't mentioned yet this sort of weird season, if you like. This is an off season for so many nations, and then a really big season for a few nations with the Commonwealth Games and the Europeans. And the Americans just sort of finding their way, really, trying to decide what motivates them, how big the US Championships will still be for them. You know, is that still going to be something they want to really peak for? And Cole Hocker, we haven't seen anything of him outdoors yet, the 5,000 world champion. Just as we go through the opening stages here, Van Berda of the Netherlands is the only athlete going with the pacemakers, and I'm pretty sure he's in here as a racer, he's not in here as a pacemaker. And there's just a gap developing between Van Bender and the rest of the field. There you go. Krop is in second place. Jacob Krop, a brilliant athlete and world championship medals, and you can see the Dutch athlete, apologies, just looking over his shoulder saying, come on, where's everyone else?
Also, just another point about Grant Fisher, who's in that pack, that chasing pack, has never won a Diamond League race. He's finished second on 4 occasions and third on 4 occasions. So, again, a good opportunity for him and to see what sort of form he's in. He hasn't had the greatest start to the year. He made his debut at the half marathon in New York. That didn't quite go to plan, and was 8th at the Worlds last year at the end of what was otherwise a very, very good year for him. There he is in the yellow strip just behind the two Africans ahead of him.
They're flying through the first kilometre, 2:33 is mighty quick. And you can see all the races have got back up to Verbanda. They had decided they didn't want to let the Dutchman go away with the pacemakers, use all of that advantage. And the graphic on the side just changing its mind about who's up there in the lead. It is still Sam Gilman doing the pacemaking. The American just checking around his shoulder. He's right on the back of that world record pace. And you just wonder, these races, sometimes they just have to bubble along. You just have to get, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 men that are really up for it. And then you can get close to 12:40, maybe nudge under it. We've had the second fastest time ever here by Hagos Gebruet, the meeting record at 12:36. So, I don't know. But the weather, all day we've been saying the weather isn't good enough for a world record, but these guys didn't listen.
No, they didn't listen. And actually, the conditions are pretty good now. We've lost the sunshine away to our right, and actually the wind has dropped and has abated completely. And these are pretty good middle distance conditions here in Bislett at the moment.
Still running very closely on the rights here, Gilman. Verbanda still checking over his shoulder every few metres. I think Verbanda will not want to be left leading this field when the pacemaker steps aside.
Bar up at 5:82 in the men's pole vault, and Curtis Marshall, fresh from that maiden Diamond League win at the weekend, with his first attempt. Yes, plenty to spare as well. Such a unlikable, bubbly character, was once again just underlining how close and tight this group of pole vaulters are. Having a really good laugh in the press conference yesterday. Because Steiner was trying to keep them under control at one point because they know each other so well. It was like a group of guys having a bit of a chat over a drink at the bar, rather than in a press conference where there was no alcohol, I hasten to add. So Marshall goes into the lead, 5:82.
Luis Hurtado. Next look at the Javelin Sinyan. Go out to 67.11 for a lead. Luis Hurtado on 58.26 already so far. She becomes the second woman to go over 60 metres. For the measurement here, these women very much playing second fiddle to Jan at the moment. Hurtado took the silver in Budapest at the World Championships. It's always in the top 8 of those major events. 60.47. That does put her up into second place, just nudging Vilagos down to third.
Yeah, Jan leading the way as we return to the men's 5,000 metres.
So through 2 kilometres in 5:09, 5:07 is technically world record pace, and they have let those lights go now. Sam Gilman checking over his shoulder, as with Margot Appleton in the women's 3,000, doing a really good job of reading the field, just dropping back and drawing them back in. We still do have Jacob Kropp in second place out of the races. Belu hanging in there, and Yehune, the third of the Adidas athletes there, all one behind each other. Yehune was brilliant in Rome, a very, very well-timed sprint to take the win. So Yehune is positioned perfectly. Grant Fisher just tucked him. He's just been overtaken by Graham Blank, so I would love to see what the response is when it's someone from your own nation overtaking you. You might turn a blind eye if it was someone else, but you always notice when it's a teammate.
Still feel very sorry for Graham Blanks, who did a brilliant season in 25, ran 12:48 and still didn't make the US team for the Tokyo World Champs. He is just alongside Grant Fisher. Second kilometre, by the way, went through 2K in 5:09, so just outside the required pace.
And I was reading that the main lights were meant to be on world record pace. The red lights here, they were billed as being on
European.
World lead pace. It was meant to be white lights on European record pace, yes. But I can't see any white lights, so I can only assume these second lights are the European record pace, because they haven't slipped so far off the world record pace, and that's relevant mostly for Andreas Almgren, who looks fine. He's tucked there in the middle of the pack. And there we go. Sam Gilman has done a fantastic job. 7.5 minutes on the clock, and the American steps aside. The Bandit is left out there, and I would expect the Dutchman just to drift wide. There he goes, saying someone else take it. And Kai Robinson sensing the danger here, that a good time could slip away from them if they dawdle, and that's brilliant decision-making from the Australian. He goes into the lead, 7:47 through 3 kilometres, and I really think Kai Robinson is going to have half an eye on Craig Motcham's 12:55. He's very, very capable of that.
Well, he's had a fine season as well, and he's leading the way, and that was also excellent decision-making for Bandit as well, to just step aside and motion him through, saying, come on, guys, we've got to keep this pace going.
And it was a good move from Graham Blanks. The American's got himself up into 3rd place, but Yehune, the tactical genius, and last time many of these men met, the Ethiopian, followed Kai Robinson, kept himself really well out of trouble. World Under-20 champion, over 5,000 a few years ago. It was a 5,000 in Xiamen, won that with a well-timed sprint, so he looks like he's fancying his chances. And Biniam Mahari just getting himself ahead of Grant Fisher and Andreas Almgren as well. I'm sure that memory of that DNF in Xiamen for Almgren will be hard. He'll be nervous about stepping on the line here for 12.5 laps, and curious and nervous about how his body was going to respond. But the Swede looking good, and Kai Robinson, he's squeezed out a 61 here. He's definitely keeping this race moving.
He is. Almgren keeping an eye on him. There he is, left of picture. We'll be trying to channel that fabulous performance on home soil in Stockholm of last year. Not that long ago, when he set that European record of 12:44. And he is looking pretty good there, but he's got Mahari there on his shoulder, just checking right to see if there's any room to manoeuvre Bailey just behind them.
Graham Blanks looking good. Looking absolutely full of running in 2nd place. In 3rd place, apologies, Yehune tucked in behind Robinson. Biniam Mahari, for me, in Xiamen, in that race that Yehune won, Mahari kicked too early. He really tried to take it on, and he didn't pace it right. So I think similar to Fawani Hailu in that women's 3,000, I'd expect Biniam Mahari just to be a bit more patient here. He's sitting in 5th place. He's letting Almgren go round. Maybe Almgren feels that the pace is just starting to drop.
Just one or two of the names to mention who are struggling off the back. Isaac Kamili, you mentioned earlier on, and Dominic Lubalu as well. These are really world-class athletes, and they're really struggling to stay with this pace. Way off that group. There is Lubalu just coming into vision now.
When you talk about athletes that have made the jump there, Cornelius Kemboy is in there, Sime is in there, and Parker Wolf, the 3rd American in the field, is doing everything he can to get back towards the front group, if you like. And it's a big old group. That's a lot of men to have gone through 4 kilometres here. They've gone through in 10:23, so they have slowed ever so slightly. And that's slower than Almgren went through when he set his European record. I feel like the Swede might not be capable of lifting it that much here in the last couple of laps.
Still looks good, doesn't he, though? Looking at his facial expression, he's got Blanks just ahead of him, all looking up at the screen anxiously. They're going to see Sondre Thompson as they look up at the moment, because it's the pole vault being shown, but there's some really talented guys in there, still all jostling for position, and most of them looking really fresh indeed in this final kilometre.
Adisa Yehune has gone into the lead, and I think that will be a response to the big group that went through 2 laps to go. Yes, you want to be patient, you want to kick on your own terms, but you don't want to get chewed up by the pack. Kai Robinson is going to have a tricky lap here, the Australian. He led for so many laps, and it's really important. How do you respond at this moment when 1, 2, 3, 4 athletes go past you? Mahari, tracking Almgren, is looking very, very good for me, but as is Graham Blanks, the lead American at the moment.
Grant Fisher still in that group as well, coming wide as they approach the bell. Almgren there in 3rd place. This is going to be a tasty last lap.
11:52, 11:53 or so through the bell, led by Adisu Yehune, the World Under-20 champion in 2022, the Xiamen Diamond League champion in 12:57. He's flying down the back straight here. Graham Blanks had a wonderful collegiate career, won so many races with big finishes. He's done that in the professional stages as well. Almgren, the Swede, in third place. The European record holder looks absolutely locked in. Laser focus from Almgren. He sweeps past blanks. It's all to play for here in the closing stages of the men's 5,000 metres. Belu of Bahrain is challenging Almgren for second place. Yehune is kicked. He looks down at his legs, willing them on. He's gone to the arms. Yehune trying to hold off Belu in the closing stages. It's a frantic sprint for the line, and it goes to Yehune of Ethiopia, a new world lead, 12:47.62. The rest of the field piling across in season's best, probably a lifetime best for Parker Wolf, and I think that could be an Australian record for Kai Robinson there in 8th. The level of men's 5,000 metre running has gone through the roof. To have that many men underneath 13 minutes, it's no longer good enough to just be quick. You have to be tactically perfect as well. And Yehune, he was perfect in Xiamen and wonderful here tonight.
Well, it was quite the finish, wasn't it? Belu finished really strongly and pushed him all the way. Almgren, I suspect, given what happened in the previous race, will be delighted with third place. And then the Americans, and, well, goodness me, Parker Wolf leading that trio of Americans of Fisher and Blanks, 4, 5 and 6. Again, a really good showing there, a lifetime best for Wolf. Parker Wolf. There it is again. Really tight, Yehune on the inside. He could sense Bailey was coming, and Bailey at this stage looked as though he was going to get it, but again, just imperceptibly, another response there. Just 20 metres out was enough for Yehune to get the win. Blanks, brilliant performance again. This was down the back straight with, what, 2:50 to go. Almgren looking good, Fisher as well.
And just a note on Kai Robinson, it has come up at 12:50. The Australian has broken the 22-year-old national record of Craig Mottram. That guy, what he did for Australian distance running was phenomenal. He's a legend, and I think Kai Robinson will be delighted to have knocked 5 seconds off the national record.
Yeah, congratulations to him. Parker Wolf, we were chatting to his manager, Michel Boateng, who will be delighted as well.
There's the confirmed results. A world lead for Yehune, 12:47, just ahead of Belu in a new lifetime best. And Andreas Almgren, a good third after what's been a disrupted season so far.
Back to the women's javelin, third round. Adriana Vilagos lying in third place, 58.47, her best so far. Two-time European silver medalist. Well, that looks to be an improvement in round 3. That looks to be over 60 metres or 60 metres or thereabouts. Through 63 metres in Xiamen in the second Diamond League of the season. 60.11 for Vilagos. Keeps her in third place.
We had a brilliant women's triple jump earlier on. And this is our first look at the men's triple jump. Diaz Hernandez of Italy just took his third consecutive win at the Rome Diamond League. Here he goes. Looks like it's going to be over 17.5 for Diaz Hernandez. His very first attempt. It's very much a quality over quantity man, Diaz Hernandez. I think I've probably seen him jump this year alone more times than I have in the last few years, so maybe he's feeling a bit healthier than he has in other years. Comfortable on the board there for the Italian. He could find some distance there. He's equalled his season's best, 17:59. See that, just a few jumps already, a no mark for Jordan Scott, and that's a tricky with an early effort of 16:84. This is to Jaden Hibbert, the youngster, 4th in Paris and then didn't compete for so long with a knee injury. He said he's still competing off a shortened approach. He's added a couple of steps here today. Foul in his opening jump. Did get 17.04 in Rome, did get over 17 metres. He said he was going to be very, very sore from that. He knew it would take him a few days to recover. 10.97 for Hibbert, so good start. Didn't have to change much on the runner. That's a pretty perfect. Still quite strong following wins here in the men's triple. Jordan Scott, actually the world lead, 17.66. That's a few weeks ago. We've lost the graphic in the sandpit there, but it looked nice. There's always this sort of shocked, slightly bashful smile from Jordan Scott when it goes well. It's almost like he can't believe he pulled it off. There's something about triple jump, when it's good, when it feels nice like that, it will feel effortless. And that's why you see these athletes hop out and they know what's happened. It's because they haven't had to strain, they haven't had to force it. Jordan Scott just skipping down the runway. Oh, he's lucky there. Yeah, 0 centimetres indeed for Jordan Scott. But a smile and a dance because it's 17.66. He equals his new lifetime best, the world leading mark, and puts himself in first.
Little glimpse into the call room. Jake Whiteman there, right of picture, the Dream Mile a little bit later on, and of course wrapped up in so much history here at the Bislett Games, with so many famous names having won that race. That's coming up a little bit later on. For now, though, we're going to go to the women's 100 metres. We mentioned the number of Olympic and world champions here in Oslo this evening. We've got one of them here in this race in the form of Julian Alfred. In lane 1, though, Helen Rønningen from Norway, the national champion, one of 15 national titles, and a great hand for her, of course, from the home crowd. Boglaka Takac from Hungary goes in lane 2, the national record holder over 100 and 200 metres. Patricia van der Weken, the world and European indoor bronze medalist, an incredible season indoors, 17 races she raced, improved her national record indoors as well. And talking of improvements, Amy Hunt, brilliant performance at the weekend, going under 11 seconds for the first time in her career, 10.97. Brilliant from Amy Hunt. Julian Alfred, the Olympic champion over 100 metres, the Diamond League champion as well. I saw this morning, she was on the same floor in the hotel. She was doing some strides outside her room along the corridor very early this morning. Zoe Hobbs, multiple New Zealand champion and record holder. She goes in lane 6. Inka Bishops, Dutch champion indoors and out, was an excellent 4th in Stockholm on Sunday. And Julia Henriksson, the Swedish national champion over 100 and 200 metres. But this, you would feel, is Julian Alfred and her race for the taking from St. Lucia. Said in her press conference yesterday that at college she preferred the 100 to the 200. She absolutely hated running 200 metres, but now enjoys both. And Amy Hunt is likewise so proficient over both 1 and 2, and so delighted. Had a quick chat with her yesterday about that sub-11 at the weekend. Dina Asher-Smith was on the original start list here to be in Oslo, but decided not to do the Scandi double. So van der Weken goes in 3, Hunt there, right of picture, goes in 4, Alfred, the Olympic champion, in 5, with Hobbs in 6. Women's 100 metres. Great start from van der Weken. Also going well is Julian Alfred. Amy Hunt's got a little bit of work to do, but she comes good in the latter stage of the race. But it's Julian Alfred stretching away. The Olympic champion has got this done. Keep an eye on the top. 10.75 with a very strong tailwind. Well, we had said that it was swirling around and it was behind them, so it's an illegal wind. 10.76, but a win is a win. And Alfred, who was the red-hot favourite, you have to say, for this 100 metres race, delivers. And maybe those strides in the hotel corridor this morning will have warmed her up very nicely. Amy Hunt coming through for second, and she's done it again, Hannah. Back-to-back sub-11 showings for Amy Hunt. So she is in some quite good form after a slightly indifferent start to the season by her own high standards, but you can't say that Amy Hunt is not in form now. Hobbs coming through for third in 11.03.
Alfred looked just brilliant there, and it's nice to see that response from her across the line as well. She's looking more relaxed and more like she's enjoying herself with every race that comes on. But look at the start there. I think Alfred was outdone on either side by Amy Hunt and Zoe Hobbs just for that reaction time, but it didn't affect the Olympic champion one bit. Just put her foot down in the last 20 metres. And I think you remember there was a slight stumble for Julian Alfred just towards the end of I think it was in Rome. She still won, dominated that race, but she just looked a bit tight in the last 10-15 metres or so. There was none of that from Alfred today. She just looked stronger with every metre that went by, and that's a huge winning margin. I mean, really impressive for Amy Hunt to get back-to-back seconds behind Alfred, behind Melissa Jefferson-Wooden. But I don't know how long we're going to have to wait to see Alfred versus Jefferson-Wooden versus Sharika Jackson again, because I can't wait. I want it as soon as possible.
Mouth-watering, isn't it? And I've got those reaction times for those people who just like some numbers to go with the feeling that Hannah was saying she had. 0.19 Alfred, 0.148 Hunt, 0.163. So she was outdone by both Hunt and Hobbs. Victory, though, for Alfred. Back to the pole vault.
Baptiste Thierry, the busiest man in the pole vault, on another third attempt. The Frenchman is definitely taking more attempts than anyone else. Can he do it again? No, nowhere near here with his final attempt. So that's it for Baptiste Thierry. And quite rightly looking pretty tired. I think that is fair enough. You mentioned the conditions. I think pole vault, it's going to be pretty tricky, that crosswind. And cooler conditions, the longer you're out there, the harder that's going to be. So Thierry in 5th place.
Zach Bradford lying in 4th with his 3rd and final attempt at 5.82. No. So another athlete bids farewell. So one American leads us to another. Sam Kendricks in the same position here, deep in thought. Again, entertaining as ever in the press conference yesterday. No, frustration you could see there really hurts Hendricks. It was a 6-metre vaulter, of course. 6.06 is best.
Sondre Guttormsen still trying to become the only Norwegian man to have won the pole vault here at this event. Oh, can he possibly get over? Oh, not quite for Guttormsen. You can really say men's pole vault is the best it's ever been. 6 men over 6 metres, far more than we've ever had before.
Corrales then, and here's a man who has vaulted 6 metres for fun in the last couple of years, but here he is, 3rd attempt at 5.82. No, again, all the big names struggling at 5.82. So he is the latest to say farewell to the crowd. The conditions aren't as bad as they were in Stockholm at the weekend. Talking of Stockholm, Curtis Marshall with the bar at 5.91. Is he going to make it a Scandi double here? Remember, Duplantis was in Stockholm on Sunday, not here, if you weren't with us earlier, in Oslo because of his impending marriage this weekend. But Marshall with the bar at 5.91, no. So he has 2 more attempts if he needs them, but he's got the competition won. We've seen Guttormsen and Kendricks and Bradford and Thierry all fail at 5.82. So it looks to me that Marshall is going to call that a day in these cool conditions. And while we've got a moment, I should just reiterate that Renaud Lavillenie, who was competing here, I'm afraid we didn't see him. We bowed out of the competition a little earlier. 100th Diamond League meeting, more than any other athlete. 37 Diamond League wins. Made his debut in June 2010. But today, it's back-to-back wins for Curtis Marshall. Stockholm on Sunday, Oslo on Wednesday. And it's not a bad few days' work for the Australian.
He said it took him 31 Diamond League appearances to get a win, and now he's got 2 at once.
Incredible, like Sydney buses. It has definitely cooled off here. As you can see, a lot of people really wrapped up. The rain has stayed away. as we turn our attention to one of the highlights here. It's the Dream Mile.
Before we meet the athletes, we just want to extend our condolences to the friends and family of Kieran Leonard, the Irish Olympian, died yesterday. Kieran was a force on and off the track, and the world would be a poorer place without him. It is at his prime, he would have been a wonderful addition to this lineup, because we have so many men here to fight it out for the historic Dream Mile title. Yared Nuguse, the Olympic bronze medalist, making up for a disappointing 2025 with 2 Diamond League wins already. Home star Nordash would love to get himself involved with the lead here. Isaac Nada won the World Championships last year in a slow tactical race, and he won here on the way to that global title. Cam Myers turned 20 yesterday. It's a world lead over 1500, and his only defeat of the whole year came on Sunday to Nuguse in Stockholm. Jake Whiteman, the 2022 world champion, made up for an injury-ridden few years, getting back on the podium in Tokyo. Brilliant silver for the Brit. Joined by Kessler, Azadine Abs, Andrew Koskeren, Timothy Chariot, Robert Farkin. What a lineup here. And they're joined by Reynald Chariot, tactically really competent last year, brilliant on the circuit, and then the bronze in Tokyo. He was only 7th in Rabat last week, though, Chariot. Justus Langat next to him, and Samuel Pilström of Sweden completes the lineup on the inside. World lead is with Cole Hocker, 3:45.94 from the indoor season. We already mentioned Hocker has not made an appearance in the outdoor season yet. So no sign of Cole Hocker, the Olympic champion. No sign of Josh Kerr in this Scandi Tour either. Those two perhaps focusing on other Diamond Leagues, but this Dream Mile is steeped in history. There's been 3 world records here in the 70s and the 80s from Seb Coe, Steve Avet and Steve Cram. And I just wonder, with the cooler conditions here and the slight breeze, I don't know if these guys will go with the pace. There's an absolute bunch of kickers, these guys, all of them think they've got one of the best finishes on them, and I don't think anyone's really going to go for a hard pace. Maybe Timothy Chariot, maybe Reynald Chariot. All the rest of them would love a burn-up over the last 200.
I agree. I think the conditions aren't really what most people would fancy, although Adair is making his presence felt nice and early here. Farkin as well. Nuguse saw him in the hotel looking very, very relaxed, but there's so much excitement from the crowd for this Dream Mile. We've seen so many brilliant races over the years, and we're hoping that, well, the finale could be really tasty over the last 600.
That's good through the first lap, very swift through the first lap, and Farkin of Germany took a fall in the semi-finals, was barged in the semi-finals at the World Championship, so perhaps the German just saying, got to get myself to the front of this pack, not get into trouble. And Nada, for me, I think he'd just be content not to be in that pack. I don't think the Portuguese man will want to really force the pace. Timothy Chariot in behind him, and Yared Nuguse, the tactical excellence he showed in Rabat to get the win, and then to get the win in Stockholm as well. Just timing that kick to absolute perfection. The best example of running through the line that any aspiring athlete could ever watch.
Cam Myers just keeping himself out of trouble there. He's out of picture, left off the picture, down in about 13th or 12th place at the moment, just moving up. There he is, just coming into picture now.
It's quick, Chris. There was me saying they're not going to go with the pace. These guys aren't your typical time trialers, not the ones you peg up for a time trial race, but they're moving incredibly well. That first 800, pretty swift, bang on the pace of that world-leading marker, 3:45.94 from Cole Hocker, and that puts you right up there on the all-time list. And that's the last of the pacemakers, and Isaac Nada just behind Robert Farkin. The green lights are just easing away from this field. This is a very important stage in the mile. They're going to come up to the bell. They're going to start thinking about launching their sprint finish.
Well, Nuguse is brilliantly placed. Cam Myers is a little bit further back. I wonder whether he's really fancying it today, but Nada is in a brilliant position as well. Hobbs Kessler is further down as well. Jake Whiteman still has a lot of work to do.
The the men's 1500 or mile as it is tonight. It's always such a wonderful tactical battle. Nada checking over his shoulder, he's checking out, he's checking in. Nada, I think, looking to protect his position and be conscious of any of the attacks on the outside. Farken on borrowed time, the German is swallowed up. He goes from first to fifth. Nada kicks first, gives himself the racing line into 200 metres. Jared Naguse on his shoulder, Timothy Chariot fighting for space on the inside. Jake Whiteman moving himself up into fourth place. It's a patient race from Cam Myers. Is he going to find some space as we enter the home straight? Isaac Nada, the world champion, under pressure from the Olympic bronze medalist. Chariot goes for some space on the inside, but here goes Jared Naguse. Chariot on the inside, Myers on the outside. Surely Naguse can't do it again. Oh, I think that might just have been Timothy Chariot, the 2019 world champion on the inside. Oh, they've given it to Naguse. I don't know.
It was tough, wasn't it? It was very, very close to call, but I think Naguse knew it. He knew it, he celebrated early. Chariot on the inside. Cam Myers, goodness me, no longer a teenager. And Naguse has been given it. We're just waiting for final confirmation to come up on our screens. But it has been given 3:48.21. No, Chariot, they've reversed it. You were right, goodness me. It's been changed. It was that tight.
There was just something about that lean from Chariot. He's always leaning forward, perhaps always poised for the perfect photo finish. And look, he's a popular guy, Tim Chariot. He's been around a long, long time. And he's just plugged away, plugged away. He was fourth in Tokyo. That was his best in quite a few years. It's almost as though Naguse dips too early. I think Myers tried to play the patient game, the Australian. He maybe went too early in Stockholm and paid for it. And that's a good race in the Australian. I think he gave himself the best shot at contending with Naguse and Chariot, but how about that? If that's not an advert for the metric mile or the mile, I don't know what is. That will be the distance at the Commonwealth Games. I wonder if we'll see Timothy Chariot versus Cam Myers there.
Well, if it's anything as exciting as that, what a final 600 metres that was. It was quite brilliant. And even our computer system initially called it to Naguse and then reversed it. Chariot, great to see him running 3:31 at the weekend in 1,500 metres. He's back, isn't he, Tim Chariot? Goodness me, he's been around for so long. World champion in 2019, Doha. That's me.
That is one of the most entertaining middle distance races I've seen in a long, long time. So many changes in the position. There has been no change in the leader, though, in the women's javelin. Still Jan in 67.11. This is Ruiz Hurtado, who's in second place with 60.47. Looks like it could be similar here in the fifth round. Looking for an improvement there. And we've only seen one more throw from Jan, actually, a 64.81, and then it looks like the Chinese athlete might have retired. 61.11 for Ruiz Hurtado, good improvement.
Yeah, up into second place behind Jan, the opening throw of the competition. Here is Vilagos lying in third. This is her fifth round throw. Looking to improve on 60.11. That looks to be an improvement. Just waiting for the mark to come up for the Serb. Started out playing handball when she was a little girl. 61.33. So that is enough to maintain second position. So Jan's still leading the way as we knock off the final throws here and enter round 6 for the top 3.
Cedric Borger not finding her groove here in front of the home crowd at all, down in the mid 50 metres. She was second in Xiamen, and that's an improvement from Borger just when she needed it. I wonder what that hand signal means. Was it all in my head? There's a shake of the head from Borger. She's been brilliant all season, and I just wonder sometimes, I don't know whether it's friends and family, people you really know coming to watch you, adding a layer of distraction or a layer of emotion, maybe just the pressure of the home crowd, but it's taken Sigrid Borger all the way to round 5 to find something that's respectable by her standards. 61.92. She goes into second. She will go into the final 3. It's a lovely look there out over the harbour here in Oslo. Such a lovely city. The conditions were the opposite yesterday. When you look at this, it's hard to believe the evening we've ended up here with for the Bislett Games. But there's the final 3.
Jan, Borger and Villagos. Now Jan, as you mentioned, Hannah, only threw twice. The 67.11 was her opening throw, 64.81 second, then didn't take rounds 3, 4 and 5. And we get the impression she's not going to come out for the final 3 either. And to my recollection, certainly on the Diamond Leagues I've done, I've not seen this where an athlete does not take their place in the final 3. There she is, 18 years old, second furthest in history, remember, with that 71.74 in Xiamen. So we could be down to a final 3, but with only 2 throws.
I think you're right, Chris. So there's no improvement for Jan off that 67.11 from the first round, so that is still the target for Sigrid Borger. And hopefully now can be a bit more relaxed. Second place is a wonderful spot for her to be in. And, she looked a bit lacklustre from Borger, something off maybe on the run-up. She stepped over the line and she's let it go, so no change in the top 2, just Adriana Villagos able to affect the standings. Borger, I thought it would have been a very different story if she hadn't found that 61.92 in the 5th round. I think she can live with second place behind a woman that's just gone second furthest all time.
Two more track races to come, and one more throw in the women's javelin. So Adriana Villagos looking to find a rather improbable 6 meters or so to overhaul Jan. And that is not going to do it. So the very first throw of the competition, what, an hour or so ago, will end up being the winning throw from Jan Ziyi, who wasn't able to take her place in the final 3. But her 67.11, the opening throw of the competition, will win it in her first Diamond League outside of China. Doesn't come to Europe very often, but she's come away with a win, and there she is, wrapped up warm. Not sure whether that's just a precaution, whether she's got a niggle or what, but only 2 throws all evening.
Well, very effective from Jan, and let's hope she stays for a bit of a European tour. Got a Strava, the Golden Spike meeting coming up next week, and that's such a big place for javelin throwing. I wonder if Jan's been lured there, perhaps relieved with getting the win here and just wanting to conserve energy. It'd be just brilliant to see her at the home World Championships in Beijing next year after she was too young to go to Tokyo. Just catch up with the men's triple jump. Look at the youngster Jaden Hibbert again. World Under-20 record holder, 17.87. There he is. Just under 17 meters so far here this evening. Oh, that's a nice jump. Dropping himself in that top 3 zone. You know, for a man whose personal best is high up in the 17.87, he seems really chuffed to be hitting 17 meters this season. I think that's part of his build back from being injured, from missing all of last year. He sort of set that as his respectable target at this stage in the year. Still very good on the board. And just the fact that Hibbert is able to put competitions back to back and be doing every jump. And so often these athletes, they can't go the distance, they can't do the 6 rounds, they can't compete week in, week out. But Hibbert, over 17 meters again, as he was in Rome, a new season's best, 17.03. Andy Diaz-Hernandez, the winner in Rome. Just trailing Jordan Scott at the moment. Oh, just hangs in the air in that final phase, Diaz-Hernandez. You just never quite know when gravity's going to get the better of him. And quite often, if he's in the lead, you'll see him pass. He might do 2 jumps, then pass 3, and then maybe even pass the last one if he doesn't feel like he's going to get challenged. But in this scenario today, we might see the Italian take all his jumps. So 17:31 here in the 4th round. Still Scott out there with his world lead equaling 17:66.
Hibbert next in round 4, 17:03. So relieved to be back competing again. Getting over 17 metres last time out. And that again looks to be consolidating the 17 metres, 17:03. Looks to be an improvement there. Will book himself a place in the final 3. $17 just coming up. Just waiting for confirmation of that. Yeah, 17:17. Takes him into 3rd place. Getting better and better, and it's great after the torrid year he had last year with injury.
The final event here in Oslo is going to be the men's 400-metre hurdles. Alisson dos Santos ruling the roost at the moment, but this is Carsten Warholm's house. This is his home. It's where he trains. And he would be, I don't know what he'll do if he wins or if he loses. There's going to be a lot of emotion for Carsten Warholm, but he will not go down without a fight, that's for sure.
He knows every single inch of this place intimately. He's trained here over the years, all his career. Well, there's
that's bold, isn't it?
That's over to our right, actually. We can see that flag if we just look away from the monitor. And away to our right, it's coming out of an apartment building. An act of provocation, possibly. That's coming up, but first at the turn of the women, it's the women's 400 metres hurdle. It's the penultimate track event of the evening, an event that, of course, is now wide open with Femke Bol stepping up to 800 metres and Sidley McLaughlin-Levrone expecting her first baby this summer. So a chance for one of the other names, looking at Saplatalova in particular, to make this event their own. On the outside, though, for Norway, 39 years old now, Elizabeth Sletton, winner of 18 national titles. Amelie Yule, a great roar for her, but also some sadness. It's her final season before retirement, so this is her last ever appearance at the Bislett Games, and the crowd aware of that. They'll be roaring her on all the way around. Jasmine Jones, world silver medalist at the Worlds in Tokyo last autumn, to go with that 4th place at the Olympics. She goes in 5. There is Emma Saplatalova from Slovakia, bronze in Tokyo, has lowered her own national record no fewer than 8 times in the last 12 months, twice already this year, 1 in Rabat and Rome. Michelle Clayton, 2-time world bronze medalist and the Jamaican champion, she goes in lane 4. On her inside, Gianna Woodruff from Panama, the South American champion, 2 solid 4th and 5th places in Rabat and Rome so far this season. In 2, from Portugal, Fatoumata Diallo set a national record in Warsaw just 3 days ago, so she's in good form. And the 3rd Norwegian in this race, Andrea Ruth, the former European junior and under-23 champion. Interesting fact about Ruth, her godfather is Colin Jackson. So there you go. So 3 Norwegians for the crowd to get behind in this race. Beating record, by the way, 52:30, set by the aforementioned Femke Bol 3 years ago. And the sort of form that Saplatalova is in, that could be under threat this evening. So Woodruff in 3, Clayton goes in 4, Saplatalova in the green in lane 5, Jasmine Jones on her outside in 6. Penultimate track event of the evening, women's 400 metres hurdles.
Set.
Safely away. Who is going to be the first to the first barrier? And Saplatalova has just got a little march on Clayton, but also going well is Jasmine Jones. Jasmine Jones has stormed through this first 100 metres. Right leg lead, looking very good indeed, but Saplatalova has got her in her sight. Saplatalova is very strong over the second half of the race. Clayton has got a little bit of work to do, and now Saplatalova has got Jasmine Jones in her sights, and Amelie Yule is fading fast, and these two putting well clear. Saplatalova moves into the lead. 52.30, remember, is the meeting record held by Femke Bol, and coming off the bend into the final 2 flights, and it's Saplatalova who's got a lead here. Jasmine Jones is going backwards, and Rochelle Clayton is now vying for first place. Over the last barrier, Saplatalova gets another win. Let's keep an eye on the clock. 53.13, outside the meeting record, but that's 3 out of 3 in the Diamond League for Saplatalova. And we mentioned, Hannah, the opportunity that's opened up really for somebody else to take this event by the scruff of the neck, with Femke Bol and Sydney McLaughlin-Aroni not in action this year. And you would say so far this season that has been taken by Saplatalova.
Absolutely. I think she just looked technically perfect, and I was watching that race, I was looking for a stutter, I was looking for a mistake in those big 3, in the likes of Jasmine Jones and Clayton and Saplatalova, and none of them did. None of them put a foot wrong. Also, you know, I'm looking towards that men's race that's coming up next as well, and we've mentioned the conditions here. These athletes are going into a headwind on the back straight. They're always tired over the last couple of barriers here. They're going to have a following wind, but I think there could be a lot of fatigue in the legs as they approach those final 2 hurdles. And Rochelle Clayton looked like she might be building a bit of momentum and challenging Saplatalova, but I think everyone was extremely tired off the last barrier. And in the end, Saplatalova just was the only athlete able to lift off that final barrier. She's stretching for it, though. You can see the fatigue stretching in. It wasn't perfect, but it was more than good enough for the win.
It was. She's described her season as crazy, but she says, even if it's crazy, I want to do it again and again. And all of this, having had a bit of a knee niggle earlier in the year, and the results she's had, well, she paid full tribute to her team, her physio in particular, for getting her back into shape. And another win for the Slovakian. 53.13. Clayton in second, Jones fading to third, and Amelie Yule, well, her final race at Bislett, and a great reception from the crowd at the start of the race. So just the men's 400 metres hurdles on the track to bring you. In the meantime, let's just continue with the men's triple jump. Martinez lying in 4th place. Jordan Scott still in the lead. Really good through the phases. That's an improvement there from Martinez. Yet to break 17 metres in this competition. Incidentally, the meeting record here, 18:01. Jonathan Edwards, 1998. He was twice a winner here. And of course, it's what now? 31 years since he set that world record in Gothenburg, 1829. Still it stands. 17:33 for Martinez, up into 4th place.
Martinez just hitting his groove just when he needed to. They really are enjoying themselves out there. Not sure Yasir Tricky is enjoying himself. He did finally get over 17 metres in the 4th round. Okay, maybe he's hitting his groove now. You could hear that roar before he even hit the sand. 1684, 1688, 1674. He was so frustrated, the Algerian. Pushed it all the way to the wire to make it into the top 3. And he's done it here in round 5. It's come up as 17.43, so 10 centimetres further than Martinez. So slightly wind-aided, if you like, plus 2.4, but Tricky making the conditions work for him. He will go into the final 3.
So here are the final 3. Scott, who's been out in front for much of the competition. Diaz Hernandez, the reigning Diamond League champion, in second. Tricky with that late surge to get into 3rd place and deny Martinez a spot in the final 3. So Jordan Scott with the world lead 17.66 coming into this competition. So he's first to jump in the order in which they finished after 5 rounds. Only 2 valid jumps all evening. 17.66 came in round 3. Here he goes for the final time. Beautiful through the phases. That's decent, but it's not going to improve on his 17.66. So 7 centimetres required for Diaz Hernandez to match Scott, who will be next to jump.
And I mentioned Diaz Hernandez being one of these quality over quantity guys. He tends to win things with one big jump early doors. You don't often see him have to fight the whole way through a competition. And he is going to do that today. Definitely has the skills to overtake Jordan Scott. Just a note on this event, there's no sign of Jordan Diaz, the Olympic champion. We haven't seen him for a couple of years. Pedro Pichardo was down to compete tonight and didn't actually didn't make it to Oslo. Outdoor world champion. This event's so physically demanding. It really is only at the championships when we get everyone all together. But Andy Diaz Hernandez has got a fight on his hands today. Trying to find 7-8 centimetres to give himself the win here at the Bislett Games. The Italian with his final jump of the night. Oh, I don't think it's going to be quite big enough. It's close on the board as well. It has been given a foul. There you go. Diaz Hernandez had it all his own way in Rome at home last time out, last Thursday. 6 days on, and you can't recreate the win. It's great to see 2 men over 17.50 though. So Tricky next to go, final jump of the competition. It's going to take a monumental effort to overtake Jordan Scott by Yasser Tricky. Top 5 position in Tokyo, the Worlds last September. Was quite the improvement though on round 4 to go from 17.25 to 17.43. Needs something of the same again. Oh, decent. Might have moved up into 2nd place, but certainly Jordan Scott will take the win here. The only valid attempt of the 3 in the final 3. The question is, has he done enough? Has he got 17.59 or better? No, he hasn't. 17.32. So once again, it's as you were. Scott from Diaz Hernandez, from Tricky. The final result here in the men's triple jump. Good competition. Great jumping from these guys, and fun to see Tricky turn it around just in the last couple of attempts. Similar to Sigrid Borga in the women's javelin. A totally different story back at the hotel for Tricky. Despondent instead of relieved. Jordan Scott, the last couple of seasons for the Jamaican have just been great. He's really at home at this level on this stage, and started enjoying himself as well.
So congratulations all round for Jordan Scott. And great anticipation building around us here, because we're about to go to the final track event of the evening, the men's 400 metres hurdles. But just confirmation before we do of the results in the men's treble junt. Scott from Diaz Hernandez from Tricky, with Hibbert down in 5th place. Good competition though, and Scott from Jamaica continuing to underline his dominance in 2026. So there's the scene, there's the Bislett Stadium, where we've been not just this evening, but over all those years, one of the oldest stadia in the world. And we prepare for Varholm against Dos Santos. And Hannah, is that a whiff of revenge I smell in the air here in Oslo?
I think there has to be for Karsten Varholm. He would applied himself so diligently to this race here at the Bislett Games. It was a pair of defeats to Alison Dos Santos in China in the double header there in Shanghai over 3 hurdles, and then Xiamen over 4 hurdles. And yeah, I just wonder if Varholm would have expected Dos Santos to come out quite so hot in May. But it's June now, and we're in Oslo, and we're in the home of Karsten Varholm, and this crowd will give him all of their attention, all of their energy. We started with a win for Henriette Jaeger in the women's 400. Can we finish with a win for Karsten Varholm? A pair of Norwegian wins would be brilliant for them. This man, Alison Dos Santos, he said this year is all about taking risks. He wants to roll the dice, go out hard, see what happens. Caleb Dean takes lane 8. World Championship finalist, was 3rd in Xiamen. Sees his best of 47.42. And there is the world record holder, Karsten Varholm. He said he never underestimates his rivals, especially Alison Dos Santos. What a reception for Karsten Varholm. Alison Dos Santos, the Brazilian, said he loves competing in Oslo. He feels the crowd really respects his rivalry with Karsten Varholm. And I don't know if that's respecting the rivalry, hanging both flags out your window. Brazilian one's bigger, isn't it? Adiraman Samba of Qatar goes in lane 5, 2-time World Championship bronze medalist, once at home in Doha in 2019, and then again last summer in Tokyo. Mateus Lima of Brazil takes lane 4, made it a 1-2 in Stockholm. He was 2nd behind Dos Santos in a new lifetime best at 47.37. Emil Agikum of Germany will take lane 3, 6th at the World Championships. He was 3rd behind the pair of Brazilians, including his lifetime best last Sunday in Stockholm. Matic Gucek of Slovenia goes in lane 2, 7-time national champion. And Karl Bengström of Sweden completes the lineup in lane 1, the European bronze medalist, got his first 50-second clocking of the year last week in Bydgoszcz. One of the most anticipated races here at the 2026 Bislett Games, the final event of the evening. Norway's superstar, Karsten Varholm, takes on his great rival, Alison Dos Santos. There'll be respectful silence as the 8 men settle into their blocks for the 400-metre hurdles.
Set.
Wow, that's the quietest it's been all evening, and then straight to the loudest. Karsten Varholm never holds back in any of his races. He's gone tearing down the back straight, and Alison Dos Santos has gone with him. Varholm already up on Caleb Dean to his outside. There's a hit hurdle there. But Karsten Varholm and Alison Dos Santos ahead at the moment. The Brazilian rises first. There's going to be that roar, the same roar that Henrietta Jaeger in the women's 400 in the first event is there for Karsten Warholm, but so is Alison dos Santos. Alison dos Santos a whisker ahead on the penultimate hurdle, and the Brazilian pulls away here. It's heartbreak for Oslo and for Warholm, but a victory for dos Santos, 46.89. And this guy has changed his approaches to these races. He's just absolutely going for it, no fear. And it's paying off for dos Santos. And he felt there for Warholm. He ran a good race, but just to sense the Brazilian so early on, I think Warholm would have been ready for a battle off that final hurdle, but to have him already there with 100 to go, it just looked pretty stressful for Warholm.
It did. Once again, trademark of Warholm. Certainly got to the first barrier first. He's absolutely raw power in those first few barriers, but dos Santos had already up on his shoulder and then took the lead. Well, we'll see it again in a moment in the slow-mo, but you have to say there was an air of resignation with, 2 to go from Warholm. And we've said this all season, dos Santos has been quite open. He's been working on his flat speed quite as a priority. We know he comes good in the second half of the race, but he's been working so diligently on his flat speed. He did a 400-meter flat, 44.3 he ran a little earlier on. And just before then, actually, we're just joining this a little later. By this time, there's no doubt about who's going to be the winner of the race. But before that, there was just a shot, a close-up of Warholm, who had an air of resignation on his face already for me.
That was a big hit there for Warholm as well. That's going to knock the steam out of him. And when you've been beaten by such a big rival twice already, I think if you start clipping hurdles, that's a sign that things might not be quite going your way.
But if you go back to the end of last year and you include tonight, that's 4 out of 4 in their last 4 meetings for dos Santos. He mentioned the head-to-head. Overall, Warholm still leads that head-to-head, but dos Santos, in recent weeks, it's been one-way traffic, and he's catching up on that head-to-head, race by race.
And of course, Rai Benjamin, the American Olympic and world champion, and they're focusing a bit on the flat, using this off-season to have a bit more fun. Just look elsewhere than the event he spends so much of his career doing. And in his absence, Alison dos Santos. Really pleasing that fan with they look smug now with their Brazilian flag out the window. But dos Santos having a lot of fun here in 2026. Well done to Alison dos Santos. It was his birthday last week, so a nice way to celebrate there. He's come away with another good couple of wins. As we prepare to say goodbye to Oslo, what an excellent evening it's been on the 61st edition. And our next meeting is 9 days away. We'll be in Doha, the rearranged fixture for Doha. It was meant to be the season opener, and Hannah and Steve will be there, so join them for the next meeting in Doha on the 19th of June. But for now, from Oslo, at the Bislett Stadium, Hannah and me, Chris Dennis, it's goodbye.